What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another uniform review video. Alright, so Ghost Rider's new uniform just dropped today, or it just went live because we were able to test play it before, but we were not able to purchase it and use it. But now we can get our hands on it and see just how powerful Ghost Rider is with his new King of Hell look here. It looks like, I can't remember exactly what all the skills were on the APK, but I think a couple of them has changed. Mainly one of these skills here, I think the first or the second skill, or even maybe it was at the fourth skill. I remember one of those having damage immunity, which I do not see anymore. So all he has is the invincibility on the third skill and the invincibility on the fifth skill. Unless I'm mistaken, but I kind of remember on the APK that he had regular damage immunity on one of the skills. So I thought he had 2 invincibility and 1 damage immunity, which I really liked because of the skill cooldowns that he had. So I felt that all of those immunities would kind of keep him safer during his skill rotation. And after the very limited amount of testing that I've done so far after just unlocking this uniform, his survivability is pretty bad. So I kind of don't understand why they got rid of that, because if he had that extra immunity on like the second or the first skill, that would really help with this survivability. Because right now, I don't know, right now I just don't really like his skill rotation. Maybe I'm playing him wrong, but I don't know, he just seems very awkward to play, just because you have so much downtime between skills, and then if you try to use your skills so you have no downtime, you just die instantly. He is very fragile, so keep that in mind. He dies very quickly. But enough about that. Let's just go ahead and look at the skills here. So his uniform bonus is going to change the effects of his tier 2 passive and his 4-star passive. His tier 2 passive, the only change here, which is very minimal, is he gets a little bit extra skill and bonus damage. I believe his skill damage used to be 12% and his bonus damage used to be 10% or something like that. So he gets less than 5% more bonus damage, and he gets like 7-8% more skill damage. Not really sure why they changed it by that little, but I mean, that's the only change that I see here for his tier 2 passive, because he had the increased supervillain by 120 and he had the decreased damage received by 20%. So yeah, I'm not really sure on that one. The 4-star passive here, which again, another weird change that they made, is he now only has 90% chance to become immune to fire damage. Why is it 90%? In his other looks, it was 100%. So they actually reduced that, and then they added the increased fire damage by 15%. So apparently getting extra fire damage makes him more vulnerable to fire. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Either way, another weird change. The first skill, we have a bind and a stun. The second skill, we have a burn. The third skill here is where we have a lot of stuff going on, which I'm not sure if this skill is bugged, but we do have some weird stuff going on with the skill, but I'll talk about that in a second. Alright, so the skill is going to give him burn, bind, removes active buffs from target, which is nice, and then he gets 100% chance to penetrate, it looks like everything, so he can penetrate pretty much everything there. He gets 4 seconds of invincibility, which is very good. And then here's where we have something that I'm not sure if it's working as intended or not. Acquire the following effects for 0.1 second. Activate when attacking a super villain enemy. He's going to get an increase to his damage by 250% for 1 attack, which says it lasts for 3 seconds, but for some reason it does not. So whenever this activates, this increased damage for 1 attack, it only lasts for that 0.1 seconds. So I'm not sure if it's a visual bug or if it's actually translating through, because I do notice a good increase in his damage in World Boss Ultimate, but the icon saying that he has that increased damage disappears after 0.1 seconds. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Again, it might just be a visual thing, because maybe there's supposed to be 2 icons there. One icon that has the hit when attacking a supervillain, and then one icon that shows the increased damage for 250%, because the other characters that have increased damage for 1 attack on a skill, it almost looks like a little sword or something up there, an icon, a yellow sword, and then it says increased damage, and then that little icon stays there while you're doing that skill, provided it hasn't expired via its time duration, like the 3-second here. Most of them are actually 5 to 10 seconds for the increased damage for one attack. This one's only 3 seconds, but it usually stays up there for that entire duration as long as you're within that skill animation. Whereas this one, it just disappears after that 0.1 seconds. So again, I'm not sure it's a visual bug or if you're actually losing some damage there. The 4th skill, we have a stun and a bind. The 5th skill here, we have some fire resistance down, minus 50%, which I'm not sure why that's not higher and why more of his skills doesn't have that fire resist down, because some of the other elemental damage characters we've gotten recently have multiple skills with their element resistance down that applies to world bosses, and it is higher. So anyway, again, another little detail that I'm a little confused on for Ghost Rider here. And then he gets invincibility for 5 seconds, increases his fire damage by 35 seconds by 35%, and all attack by 25%. So let's go ahead and look at the skill preview really quickly and just see what these skills look like. See if I can show you some of the visual stuff, and then we'll hop into a little bit of gameplay and see what kind of damage Ghost Rider is doing in a real world situation here. So the first skill, we have iframe there, which is actually really nice because I do utilize this iframe in my skill rotation to help with the downtime. And then we have the second skill here, which is just a kind of flame burst, which I'm pretty sure this is the one that had the damage immunity. I kind of remember getting damage immunity in the APK when he did this attack. I could be wrong, but anyway, now the third skill right here, where if you pay very, very close attention to the icons up top there, the icon that you're looking for, which is actually different than the other characters' increased damage for one attack, is his looks like a little hand. So it's like a hand, someone like offering you something in the palm of their hand. So if we try to take a look for that, here we go. And it happens at the end of the skill, right about there. You should have seen it just pop up for a very brief second. I'll see if I can screenshot that. It might be a little difficult. Actually, I could just go back in the recording and try to screenshot it. But anyway, you can see if you pay close attention, a little yellow hand, whoop, it just pops up and disappears like instantly. And like I said, normally that stays up for the duration of the skill that it is buffing, and it says that it should buff for 3 seconds, so I'm not sure what's going on here. And I'm also not sure why it's at the kind of end of the skill there. So after he pulls them in with the chain and breathes that fire on them, that fire that he breathes on him is what's getting the increased attack right there. All right, now let's move on to the 4th skill. So the 4th skill, he has an iframe at the start, but then he loses that iframe, which again really hurts his survivability, so you can't like delay your skill rotation to take advantage of the 4th skill as like a full iframe. You need to actually use the 4th skill while you have some damage or while you have invincibility up, because if not, you're going to get wrecked pretty easily during that gap in the 4th skill. So boom, right here, and then that time right there, more than enough time to kill Ghost Rider. He just dies in like 1 or 2 hits, so you need to be very careful doing that skill if you do not have your invincibility up from the 5th skill. So here's the 5th skill. So none of the animations have changed from the APK. They all look really cool. Definitely love the skill animations for Ghost Rider here. And now let's go ahead and hop into the skill rotation that I like to use for Ghost Rider. So for Ghost Rider, I do 5. I go until the explosion right there. So as soon as that explodes, I go into the 4th skill. So we have the invincibility while we're missing that iframe. And then from here, I go into the 1st skill, and then I go into the 3rd skill right there. And then you have to actually run around for 3 to 4 seconds before you can start the skill rotation again. So once the 3rd skill hits 8 seconds, 7 seconds if you want to play it safe, left on the timer, hop into the skill rotation again. You do the 5th skill, you wait for that explosion, boom, hop into the 4th skill. And then you right up here, as soon as those chains come out, go into the 1st skill, and then you should be able to use the 3rd skill by that time. Then you have the invincibility to run away. And the reason why you can't just run away after the 4th skill is because if we look right here, 4th skill, boom, he throws out the chains and then punches and lands right in front of the boss. So many times after the punch, I'll be holding the joystick like this, ready to move. I just die before he even starts running in the other direction after landing from the 4th skill. And then the 1st skill, as you can see, it's just iframe, but then he loses the iframe when he does that whip right there. Again, enough time for you to get killed. So that's why you need to have that 3rd skill ready to use after whatever your skill combo ender is going to be, whether you want to use the 1st skill or not, or if you just want to end after the 4th skill and hop into the 3rd skill. But if you do that and do not use the first skill in your rotation to kind of stall for time with this bit of iframe right here. You need to wait until there's 5 seconds left on the third skill for the cooldown to be able to stay safe for his rotation. So now let's go ahead and take a look at my build on Ghost Rider, and then I will hop into a little bit of gameplay. I guess I got to go back over here. Where are you, Ghost Rider? There you are. Oh yeah, I did have his uniform at Legendary, so I can show you the options. And as you can see here, I do not have many of those options. I only have one option. I'm not sure why I don't own like any of these uniforms, but we have Human Torch Future Foundation, one I do not own. We have Crescent's Lifestyle Series 1, again, one I do not own. And then we finally have one that I own, which is the Hydra Supreme Captain America. And then we have another one I don't own, which is the White Fox Lifestyle Series 1, which, I mean, I might pick that one up in the future, but I don't really need it because I use her mainly as support, and it doesn't increase her support value by that much. And then the final option, which is one I do have, so when I get that final option unlocked, at least I can take advantage of that, which is Namor's Phoenix 5. So those are his uniform options for anyone that is curious. For the obelisk that I have on him, I have a fire damage, crit damage, 200% proc. Again, not really sure if this is going to be the best option on him, because if we looked at the cooldowns here for his skills, his 5th skills on a 10-second cooldown, 4th skills on an 8-second, 3rd skills on a 15-second cooldown, and then the other ones are pretty low. But luckily, you're going to be using the 5th skill as your opener, so that's his most damaging skill from what I can tell, besides the 3rd skill, because that little bit of damage that we get there at the end from that 200% increase for attack does actually do a significant amount of damage. And then also you'll have the residual effect from the 5th skill applying that fire resistance down. So after that skill is used, the 3rd skill ends up hitting pretty hard. So if you have a judgment or rage laying around that you do want to put on Ghost Rider, he will actually probably perform very, very well with that, just based on the kind of damage that I've seen on his skills and also the cooldown on his skills. Because if not, you're pretty much going to be proccing on the 5th skill. There's not really much else you can do about that, because if you change your skill order or skill rotation, I just haven't found another one that keeps him alive well enough. For our isolate set, we have Power of Angry Hulk, and I already showed you the skills. I think I only leveled up the 3rd and the 5th skill for the buffs, and for the debuffs, I have no Uru on him. He's still at gear 20. As you saw, he's still level 60 because I, well, 1, I'm low on materials right now, and 2, when I first started testing the uniform, I wasn't terribly impressed. So let's go ahead and hop into a little bit of gameplay here, and then you can see for yourselves if you like the play style, the damage, and all of that for Ghost Rider's new King of Hell look. So yeah, let's hop into some World Boss Ultimate. Alright, so here we are at a stage 50 for Call Obsidian. That's pretty much the stage that I like to try or test out characters on. Stage 50 I think is a good cutoff for characters to know if they're going to be useful or not, just because that stage is where you start getting the mythic world boss booty boxes that can have some pretty good stuff in it. I've gotten a few CTPs from that, so definitely don't sleep on those. The team I'm going with here is just a straight fire damage team. We have Ghost Panther for his support, both for flame and against supervillains, which is probably not going to stack as well with Ghost Rider, because Ghost Rider has a 120%. But anyway, we have Satana here for her fire damage leadership, and then we have a team up here with Ghost Panther and Ghost Rider for all attack and all defense, which is actually pretty nice. We're just going with the standard strikers here, no debuff or mind control strikers. I just have damage strikers, and then of course anti-venom there for a little bit of healing. So let's go ahead and see what happens here with Ghost Rider. Hopefully he doesn't die instantly, but let's find out. Alright, so we switch on over. We use the 5th skill. Boom, get that going. Wait for the explosion and hop into the 4th skill. Again, since I have the 3rd skill right here, I'm just going to use that right away and not use the 1st skill. But now look, you have to run around. Let that go all the way down to 8 seconds, and then I can hop back into the 5th skill. So that's just the one thing I don't like. I know every character can't have a flawless skill rotation. Oh, I may have waited a little too long. Maybe it was 7 seconds. I know not every character can have a completely safe skill rotation. They need to have, you know, mix it up a little bit. But every time I use one that doesn't have a safe skill rotation, I don't know, they just feel so awkward to play. compared to characters that do. So that's why I tend to gravitate towards the characters with a safer skill rotation, just in terms of using them in like World Boss Ultimate, or just characters when I want to get a quick clear or just not want to worry about RNG or kind of failing at all. So as you can see, the damage is pretty nice. It's not spectacular here against Cold Obsidian, but Cold Obsidian does have a little bit of elemental resistance. So against Ebony, we're going to see a different story here. And I was way too early. I wasn't paying attention to the skill cooldown on the third skill. That's one thing I don't like as well. I got to remember to pay attention to that countdown timer on the third skill, or else I might get wrecked here. Luckily, he hasn't died so far. This is actually the best surviving run that I've had with Ghost Rider. Normally, he's dying a lot quicker when I make these small mistakes, like using the skills too early or not paying attention to the timer on there. And the damage proc is going off at awkward times. But yeah, you just have so much downtime here. So even though the damage does seem pretty nice during the actual skill rotation itself, you just have to stall for so long that you're missing out on all that damage during that time. So because of that, oh, I wasn't able to hit the first skill quick enough there. And so because of that, I think overall for the time that it's taking here, he's definitely below par of what I would expect, considering how much extra damage he should be doing against supervillains. So yeah, I'm a little bit... Ouch, we didn't get into that iframe quick enough, and we got our immunity pierced there. So that was not pleasant. So overall, I'm not as impressed as I thought I was going to be with Ghost Rider here. Again, I might be completely wrong about that, so let me know in the comments below if you're having better success with your Ghost Rider. But right now, I don't know. I was kind of expecting more after seeing all of the numbers on the APK and reading the skills. I was like, oh, Ghost Rider seems like he's going to be a boss, but I don't know. He's not seeming... What happened to my fourth skill? I didn't mean to use it. I guess I accidentally tapped it without paying attention there. Let's dodge out. Okay, let's get time frozen. Ah, going to the fifth skill. So again, his skill animations are fantastic. They look amazing. It's just I have a little bit of issue with the survivability. And overall, like I said, because of the time between his skills, his damage ends up not being as high as I thought it was going to be. So I don't know, maybe they're planning on giving him another uniform in the future, so that's why they kind of changed this one around. Maybe they're, what's it called, building him up for his tier 3 or something like that, so they didn't want to make him too strong just here with his base kit. They wanted to make sure that the tier 3 seemed valuable to get or something like that, so the tier 3 might have like, I don't know, 10 seconds of invincibility or something like that, because we do have some characters that have like 8 to 10 seconds of invincibility on their tier 3, so he might get that to kind of fill in the gap a little bit. Maybe he has a quick charging tier 3, maybe the tier 3 applies some more fire resistance down or all defense down or something like that. But of course they didn't give him the tier 3 right now with the uniform release, which is kind of weird if they are giving him a tier 3, which I don't know why they would delay it if they were going to be giving him the tier 3. So anyway, that's just kind of my thoughts on Ghost Rider here. Again, I'm just a little underwhelmed with him, considering it was hyped up pretty strong with the skill potential that he had. So let's go ahead and hop real quick into a stage. Oh yeah, I've got to change around the team here, so give me a second. Alright, so there we go. Change the team to the same one that we had before. And I have weird stuff going on with the World Boss Ultimate team kind of like remembering system. It does not remember when I switch teams. Like I don't know, it's just not remembering. When I switch out a team and then use that team, when I go back, it's switched back to the other team that I had before that. So I'm not sure what's going on, if I have to hit an extra button just to tell it to save this new team that I want to keep here. So all my teams are a little messed up from unlocking people's potentials. So I have all these characters that I was getting the potential for sitting there in my teams, and I can't get them out. No, use the fourth skill. That iframe, ooh, almost got me. Ooh, yeah, see, look, the damage is amazing against Ebony, but again, elemental characters tend to do that. Damage wasn't as amazing against Cole there, but I don't know, it seems like he can decimate Ebony here. Maybe I'll have to do a little more testing against Ebony, because let's see, we have no iframe here, so Ebony can interrupt this skill pretty easily. But I think once he throws that kind of fire star or whatever we want to call it into the sky there that explodes. It doesn't seem to matter if the boss goes into an iframe or not. The star just stays there and just explodes on its own accord. Ouch, we almost died there. You can see just how fragile he is. Alright, there we go. Get the explosion. Go into the 4th skill. Oh, that is one thing though. If Ebony interrupts my 4th skill, then I don't have that iframe at the end. So if he interrupts when we come in and out of the iframe and the middle part of the 4th skill, then we don't have that time to let the 3rd skill come off of cooldown. So that could really hurt our survivability, because then right there, now we've got to run around because we don't have that iframe to fall back on. So it might be safer to just wait for the 3rd skill to completely come off of cooldown. So yeah, that's just my early impressions of Ghost Rider and his new uniform here. A little underwhelming to me. I was hoping for a little bit more, but again, let me know what you guys think. If I'm maybe missing something here, if I'm not giving him a fair evaluation or something like that. That's just how I feel. Maybe I'm just a little too biased against characters that don't have completely safe skill rotations. Maybe I've gotten a little spoiled with characters that you can kind of just stick to a skill rotation and they pretty much stay safe the entire time. So now when I have a character like this where I have some downtime or have to kind of play around the boss's attacks a little bit more, you know, I have to work a little bit more for my victory there. Maybe that's what's influencing me a little bit here. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.